Are you in a good place in life right now? Maybe that answer depends on when you ask. And if you were to ask me, are you happy? The answer might change too, and sometimes it's no. Since Luther Vandross first graced the world with his voice, he's come to embody a beautiful paradox, a man celebrated for singing about love with unmatched tenderness, yet someone who never quite found lasting love himself. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the life and journey of Luther Vandross, the soul of R&B music whose velvet voice touched millions, while quietly carrying a loneliness few ever saw. Together, we'll explore the rise to fame, the private battles, and the moments that stirred hearts around the world. This is the story of a man who shone under the brightest lights, yet often felt alone in the shadows, a powerful reminder of the complex dance between life, love, and art. If you can relate to the loneliness and heartbreak in Luther's story, drop a 1 in the comments. If you see it differently, type a 0. Enjoy the video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Now, let's dive into the life and legacy of Luther Vandross. One of the most talked about conflicts in Luther Vandross's career was his falling out with Anita Baker, another powerhouse vocalist who dominated the R&B scene in the late 1980s. At the time, Anita had achieved massive success with her album Rapture, while Luther was already recognized as one of the leading voices in contemporary R&B. The two were set to perform together at the 1987 Grammy Awards, singing the Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell classic Your Precious Love. Every detail had been planned, the rehearsals, the staging, and the live television performance. But on the day of the ceremony, Anita changed her mind and decided instead to perform a tribute to Billie Holiday, without Luther. The unexpected change left Luther deeply disappointed, especially as he also lost his Grammy nomination that same night. Many in the industry later described that evening as the breaking point in a relationship that already carried tension between two strong-minded artists at the peak of their fame. Despite their well-known tension, fate had a sense of irony. Not long after their disagreement, Luther Vandross and Anita Baker were paired for a joint tour titled The Heat, a name that couldn't have been more fitting. Both stars tried to keep their distance, but avoiding each other was nearly impossible. Luther even went so far as to draw the curtains in his dressing room to avoid crossing paths with Anita, and the security team sometimes had to lock certain backstage doors just to keep the peace. Yet, in a strange twist, the tension between them only fueled public fascination. Audiences packed the arenas night after night not just to hear two of R&B's greatest voices, but to witness the undeniable spark when they shared the same stage. Their chemistry was electric, their voices intertwining and competing with powerful intensity. In the end, the Heat Tour became one of the most commercially successful R&B tours of its era, proving that even behind the scenes, friction couldn't dim the brilliance of their combined talent. Despite his long list of accomplishments, it's almost hard to believe that Luther Vandross had to wait nearly 9 years after his debut album to win his first Grammy Award. In 1991, with his album Power of Love, he finally received that recognition, winning the award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. The standout tracks Power of Love, Love Power, and Don't Wanna Be a Fool became major hits, helping the album achieve platinum status and reaffirming Luther's place among the greats. It was a well-deserved victory for an artist who had stayed true to his voice, his style, and his spirit. 2 years later, Luther released his 8th studio album, Never Let Me Go. But this time, things didn't go as planned. The record failed to debut at #1 on the R&B charts, and critics responded with mixed reviews. Even the promotional tour faced challenges, ushering in a quieter, more introspective period in his career. Yet, those who worked with him never wavered in their admiration. As one collaborator recalled, "He's truly amazing, a real artist who always knows who he is and what he wants to bring to his audience." Luther's unwavering sense of identity, both as a musician and as a person, remained his greatest strength even when the spotlight dimmed. In 1993, Luther Vandross faced a turbulent chapter in his career when the female R&B group En Vogue, made up of Dawn Robinson, Terry Ellis, Cindy Herron, and Maxine Jones, unexpectedly withdrew from his Never Let Me Go tour. According to reports, the group was earning $55,000 per show, but the contract came with a set of specific stage conditions. Luther, known for his meticulous attention to detail, asked that En Vogue not wear the same colors as him or his band, particularly red, white, blue, or black, and that they avoid sequined or sparkly outfits. His intention was to ensure the visual harmony of the stage, which featured a rotating circular platform in the center of the arena. However, these rules were seen by some as unusually strict and ultimately led to tension between the two acts, ending their collaboration earlier than expected. If you agree with Luther's decision, drop a 1 in the comments. If you think his rules were a bit too strict, type a 0 and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel as we continue bringing you more incredible stories from the world of music. Now, let's dive into the next chapter of this dramatic and unforgettable journey. At first, En Vogue agreed to the tour conditions, but as the shows went on, some audience members began to complain that the rotating stage made it difficult to see the performers clearly. The group asked for adjustments to make the setup more accessible to the crowd. However, Luther declined the request, insisting that any change would violate the terms of their agreement. He explained that every aspect of the show had been thoughtfully designed, from the lighting and choreography to the costumes. "I spent over $20,000 on each of Lisa and Ava's dresses," he said. "They were created to draw the eye and bring harmony to the entire production. I can't let anything disrupt that balance." Luther's words reflected his unwavering perfectionism, an artist determined to preserve the integrity of his vision, even when it meant facing controversy. Tensions between Luther Vandross and En Vogue slowly began to escalate. Luther firmly believed that audiences came to his concerts not only to hear great music, but to experience what he called a complete stage performance, a seamless blend of visuals, sound, and emotion. As he once explained, the audience pays to see something different, to feel the class and perfection. For En Vogue, however, Luther's detailed stage rules felt increasingly restrictive, leaving them with little room for creative freedom. The situation reached its breaking point when the group refused to close the curtain that would have temporarily hidden them from the audience's view during part of the show. The disagreement quickly turned serious, and according to reports, Luther became so upset that he called for police intervention to help resolve the conflict. It was a dramatic moment that revealed both Luther's relentless pursuit of artistic perfection and the growing clash between creative visions at the height of R&B's golden era. The incident quickly made headlines. Vogue magazine published En Vogue's side of the story, while Luther Vandross publicly responded, calling the group contract breakers and liars. But behind the media storm, few knew the personal pain Luther was quietly enduring. During the same period, his beloved sister Patricia passed away while the tour was still in progress, a devastating loss that struck him deeply. Around that time, his longtime manager Billy Baugh also departed, later telling the press, "Luther is a great artist, but offstage, he's a man with many sorrows." These emotional blows took their toll, making Luther increasingly reserved and introspective. Those who knew him described him as a man of deep sensitivity. When he was joyful, his energy could light up an entire room, but when sadness overtook him, the atmosphere would turn solemn. After the applause faded and the stage lights dimmed, Luther would often return home to the stillness of his own company, an artist adored by millions, yet quietly wrestling with loneliness. When asked about what makes a song a classic, Luther Vandross once said, "To me, it's the songs that live on through the years, not music of the moment, but music that generations can share." In 1994, he released the album Songs, a heartfelt collection of timeless covers, including Hello and Endless Love by Lionel Richie. His duet version of Endless Love with Mariah Carey became a worldwide hit, introducing his voice to a new generation of listeners. However, not all reactions were kind. Some critics claimed that Songs was too polished, suggesting it lacked individuality and emotional rawness. But Luther didn't let the criticism define him. Instead, he saw music as a journey, a way to explore, to experiment, and above all, to bridge the soul of the artist with the heart of the listener. After enduring waves of criticism and personal setbacks, Luther Vandross decided to take a step back and focus on his health. At the time, he weighed over 145 kilograms and realized it was time for a change. With remarkable discipline and determination, he adopted a balanced diet and a consistent exercise routine, slowly regaining both his physical strength and self-confidence. By 2001, Luther made a triumphant return to the stage, looking healthier, sounding as powerful as ever, and radiating a renewed sense of joy. When asked about his secret, he smiled and said, "I exercise, I diet, and most importantly, I'm learning to love myself." That same year, Luther signed with J Records under Clive Davis and released his self-titled album, Luther Vandross. The record quickly gained momentum, led by the upbeat and romantic single Take You Out, which remains a fan favorite to this day. His comeback wasn't just a musical success, it was a victory of spirit, a testament to resilience, and proof that even after falling, true passion always finds its way back to the light. Two years later, Luther Vandross released what would become his final studio album, Dance with My Father. The title track, inspired by tender memories of his late father, was a deeply emotional ballad that touched millions of hearts around the world. More than a song, it was a tribute, a reflection of love, regret, and a longing to relive the innocence of childhood. The track became one of the most powerful moments of Luther's career, earning him the Grammy Award for Song of the Year in 2004. Though he was unable to attend the ceremony due to health challenges, Luther appeared in a pre-recorded message, his signature warmth shining through as he said softly, "Thank you for listening to my heart through each melody." It was a fitting farewell from an artist whose music had always been, above all, a conversation between his soul and the world. In April 2003, tragedy struck when Luther Vandross suffered a severe stroke that left him in a coma for nearly 2 months. The stroke affected his ability to speak and sing the very essence of who he was. In the years that followed, Luther devoted himself to recovery, undergoing long hours of physical therapy to regain his strength and speech. Though his body was weakened, his spirit never broke. He continued to believe, as he always had, that music had the power to heal. During those quiet years, Luther carried a private wish close to his heart, the hope of finding love and sharing his life with someone who truly understood him. Close collaborators later shared that he often spoke of this longing. In the music world, Luther was known as a private man, who rarely revealed personal details, but those who knew him best saw the gentle loneliness behind his calm smile. It was one of life's bittersweet ironies. The man whose voice defined love for millions, who poured his heart into every lyric and melody, spent his final years in quiet solitude. Yet even in that stillness, his songs continued to speak for him, echoing the love he gave so freely to the world. Although Luther Vandross never found the romantic love he longed for, he was surrounded by another kind of love, one that was constant and unconditional. His mother, Mary Ida Vandross, remained by his side throughout his final years, caring for him and helping him face each difficult day with strength and grace. When Luther was unable to attend public events, she often stood in for him, accepting awards and celebrating his legacy on his behalf, including appearances at the American Music Awards. Her devotion was unwavering, a powerful reminder that love takes many forms. For Luther, his mother's presence became the greatest comfort of all, a sacred bond that proved even without a romantic partner, he was deeply cherished. It was a quieter kind of love, enduring, selfless, and eternal. Luther Vandross's final public appearance came in May 2004 on The Oprah Winfrey Show. Though his health had begun to decline, his warmth and grace still shone through. He smiled gently and spoke about music with the same passion that had carried him throughout his life. Just over a year later, on the 1st of July 2005, Luther Vandross took his final breath at the age of 54. The world said goodbye to the velvet voice of soul and R&B, a man who transformed love, pain, and hope into timeless melodies that continue to touch hearts across generations. His legacy lives on not only in the songs that still fill the air, but in the millions of lives he moved with every note, every word, and every ounce of emotion he ever gave. Luther Vandross may have left the stage, but his music remains forever a love letter to the human heart. The story of Luther Vandross's final years reminds us that success, fame, and talent alone cannot always fill the emptiness within a person's soul. Yet despite his loneliness, Luther chose to live with purpose through his passion, his music, and his unwavering kindness. He showed us that love doesn't have to come from just one person. It can come from life itself, from family, from friendship, and from the way we open our hearts to others. Though he's no longer with us, Luther's voice continues to echo through time, a gentle reminder that true love never fades. It transcends distance, it defies time, and it lives forever in the melodies he left behind. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you love Luther Vandross and inspiring stories like this one, don't forget to leave a like, share Share to spread these emotions with even more people, and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss more wonderful musical journeys ahead. Your support means the world to us, and together, we'll keep the spirit of great music alive.